This is CNN Breaking News.
Breaking news, CNN has learned President Biden has privately acknowledged a series of critical tests are ahead in the next stretch of days. Those tests essential to determining whether he can stay in the race for the White House. CNN White House correspondent MJ Lee joining us now. MJ, what more are you learning?
Erica, what I am learning, and this is according to an ally of the president's who spoke with the president directly yesterday, is that the president has privately acknowledged that the next stretch of days are going to be so critical to the question of whether he can save his reelection campaign. The president, made clear to this ally in this conversation yesterday that he understands what circumstances would prompt him to basically accept it's just not working. This person who spoke to the president telling me that he sees the moment, he is clear-eyed, and they said that the president is very clear on the series of potential events that could come in the coming days that would prompt him again to accept that what he's trying to do to turn the narrative, turn his campaign around, isn't working. This person said, quote, the polls are plummeting, the fundraising is drying up, and the interviews are going badly. He's not oblivious. This is, of course, the person paraphrasing the conversation that they had with the president yesterday. As you know, this is a really significant window into how the president is going to be handling the next important stretch for his campaign. His campaign is in an existential crisis right now ever since that terrible debate performance last week, and he is under tremendous amount of pressure right now from Democratic Party leaders, from donors, voters who have said last week really demonstrated that he is not up for running for re-election or even finishing out the term. Interestingly, I'm also told that in this private conversation yesterday, the president was also chastened and blamed himself, not his staff, for his poor debate performance. He said, I have done too much foreign policy, according to this ally that I spoke with, and he acknowledged that the back-to-back foreign trips that he had leading up to Thursday night's debate had been a mistake. We, of course, heard the president saying that at a fundraiser last night as well. The jet lag and the exhaustion heading into Thursday night just had not been a good idea, the president told this ally. Of course, all of this is just so crucial, and again, just a really important insight into how the president is trying to fix the situation that may or may not be able to be fixed. And I think the White House is denying the New York Times' reporting that the president is acknowledging that he may not be able to salvage his campaign. I mean, the reporting that we have right here goes right up to the line. If the president is telling an ally in a private conversation that he knows what it will look like if his attempt to save his campaign isn't working, there is a bit of a suggestion there that he knows that there is, of course, a scenario where he isn't able to save his bid for a second term. So again, a private conversation that gives us some new insight into how the president is trying to handle the next couple of days and the coming weeks. Of course, we know from the White House that they are trying to put a lot more on his schedule to try to show the president in more unscripted settings, like the extended interview that he is going to do on Friday with ABC News. He is going to be getting out there into the country a little bit more. But the big question for the party and for a lot of nervous Democrats that are watching right now is whether any of those things will be enough. And Erica, I also have to just point out the fact that the White House and the campaign are putting so much into these events and these appearances that the president is about to do. I mean, that just means that if he has a slip up, if those things do not go well, then they are going to have to acknowledge, and it appears that the president is willing to acknowledge that at some point too, that there's a scenario where all of the efforts that they are making, all of the efforts that they are going to make in the coming days, that ultimately they may not be enough to save the president's campaign.
MJ, it's an important point, and it is such excellent reporting, as always, my friend. Really appreciate it. Thank you. I do want to discuss further now with CNN political commentator, former Biden White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield, and Republican strategist Doug Heye. Good to see you both. Kate, I know you just heard the reporting from MJ. As she pointed out, the White House denying the New York Times reporting, the campaign also denying to me just a couple of moments ago that New York Times reporting. But I think it's important as we hear what MJ is saying here, right? The fact that there is this meeting, there is clearly a discussion going on, despite the fact that the campaign just told me there was no discussion whatsoever. Kate, how do you read this? What does this tell you about the mindset of the man who you worked for and the mindset inside that White House right now?
Well, I mean, look, we should acknowledge that both the White House and the campaign are flatly denying the reporting. But even setting that aside, I think there is no question this is a significant stretch of time that the campaign and the White House are entering into here. I think they know that the task ahead of them is to put President Biden out there for him to demonstrate that he is energetic, that he's capable, that he's vigorous, that this campaign over the next 4 months is going to be about about taking it back to Donald Trump. I mean, that's, in addition to assuaging some of the concerns about age and energy, which is an immediate task ahead of him. The other big task for him here is to drive the message of the race back to Trump and back to what is actually at stake here, and back to the fact that his opponent is somebody who has said he's going to use the White House as a tool of personal retribution and that he might not accept the results of the election. And so, there is a real threat here. There's a threat to women's reproductive health. There's a threat to essentially your freedoms. So the task that Biden has now is to drive the race back to that ground. I think he can do that, but I also think that that is going to be contingent on these next few days and kind of how this all goes for him.
Doug, you've worked in your share of campaigns as well, Doug. But as you look at the way this is playing out, and even the communications that we've seen around it, little bits of information petering out, the campaign initially dismissing concerns. It's tough to forget the bedwetting brigade fundraising memo. When you look at this and you look at these denials of these conversations, what is your read on the campaign and how things are being handled?
Yeah, I view it completely from that lens of working on Capitol Hill and campaigns as a communications staffer. And we know, obviously, that no candidate is ever pulling out of a race until the moment that they say that they're going to, in a tweet or on stage, whatever that venue may be. So Quinton earlier did his job, did it admirably, and did the job you're supposed to do when you're in a communications role like this. And I have enormous sympathy because quite often you're doing what you're told. And when people outside say, what the hell are they doing? And I've been on the receiving end of this. I know that the communication staffers are doing what they're told, but also the only thing that they're actually able to do. And the challenge, I think, is not what the Biden campaign says. It's the larger ecosphere around them. And if I'm working for President Biden and his campaign right now, I don't want Jim Clyburn on TV anymore. I don't want Nancy Pelosi going on TV anymore. Stop trying to help. You're not helping the situation. When Nancy Pelosi says it's a legitimate question, or Clyburn goes back and forth because he's on 9 different channels a day, your allies are not helping you. You need your surrogates all on board, or you need them quiet and to drive that message yourself.
But then, Doug, and really it's a question for the both of you, is that, though, a signal, right, that you are seeing Nancy Pelosi saying we need to know whether this was a one-off or whether this is a sign of a larger problem, that you are seeing cracks from your surrogates and public calls from your fellow Democrats to step aside? I mean, Doug, isn't that still a crisis of messaging if they are not getting through to their allies?
Yeah, and very clearly, there's not a strong hand here. This is where some of these members should have heard from Joe Biden. Joe Biden should have at least talked to Hakeem Jeffries one-on-one at this point, or Clyburn, given what an ally he is. But having these people out there thinking out loud does not benefit the president right now at all.
I do want to point out our reporting is that he has spoken with Memorial Leader Jeffries and also with Leader Schumer. Kate, when you look at this, there is also a really important conversation to be had about the role of the First Lady. And we know how close, obviously, she and the president are. There's an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal basically saying it is time for her to step up. What is the role of the First Lady in this moment?
Well, she is a confidant of her husband in all things throughout their life. I mean, she's not, I feel like there's this caricature of her out there right now as some sort of conniving political spouse. I can tell you, as somebody who worked for Joe Biden for a long time, they have an incredibly close, loving relationship. They lean on each other. And I expect that that is what's happening right now. I mean, ultimately, this is a decision that President Biden and his family and the team around him will make. But I think what is the immediate task in front of them is for him to get out there, show some energy, show that he has the vigor to take on the rest of this campaign. I think he's certainly capable of doing that. But I think people rightly want to see it. And I think you've got things on his schedule over the next few days that are going to allow him to showcase that. He's going to be campaigning. He's going to be out in the country. He's obviously going to do this interview on Friday. So we'll have opportunities to see him. But I think if you look at where the polling stands right now, it has not, the bottom hasn't fallen out from under him. It hasn't cratered. And so I think a few more days to let this play out, let Joe Biden make his case, I think is the responsible thing to do. Because the truth is, there's no magic wand that you can wave to sub Joe Biden out as the nominee that will be seamless and simple. So I think a few days to let him go out, show what he can do is prudent. And I think that he'll live up to it.